Thanks, guys, for letting me know about the mic. We're here at the website h2g2.com, and an anonymous story entitled John Titor, a time traveler from the year 2036. And the anonymous author begins. For some worldly wise internet users, the story of John Titor is nothing new, although there are still numerous people who have yet to come across this online curiosity, which is steadily gaining status as an urban legend. In the 5 years since his absence, John Titor has spawned a book, a theater performance, and rumors of a movie, as well as plenty of web pages attempting to prove or disprove his claims to be a time traveler visiting us from the near future. Thank you, Fataku, for the super chat. Fataku says, Titor explains that the further you travel, the further that the world lines diverge. As they travel 500 years into the future, they may be traveling to world lines that never had a Big Bang. Fascinating. Thank you, Fataku. Starting on November 2nd, 2000, and continuing for a period of about 5 months, someone calling themselves Time Travel Zero began to post online a number of time travel related message boards, and he claimed to be a time traveler from the year 2036. The first websites to which time travel posted, including the Art Bell site and the Time Travel Institute site. After a while, Time Travel Zero changed his name to John Titor, or revealed his name, although this apparently was not his real name. Why was he here? Titor said he traveled back in time because he was a soldier from the year 2036, who was recruited to a government time travel project. He had initially been sent back to 1975 to retrieve an IBM 5100 portable computer. It was needed to translate some legacy IBM systems and Unix. He claimed the IBM 5100 was able to do this due to a certain inbuilt function that was not documented when it was manufactured. When Titor left our timeline, some IBM engineers apparently came forward to verify his claims about the IBM 5100. After collecting the IBM 5100, Titor then traveled to the year 2000 because he said he wanted to visit his family and his younger self and to see the effects of the Millennium Bug. There is a story that Titor sent faxes to the Art Bell site in 1998, saying that the Millennium Bug would cause chaos. But when asked on bulletin boards why this had not happened, he said he had intervened to prevent it. During his stay from the year 2000 to 2001, Titor made it clear his objective was not to convince anyone. He was genuine. Rather, he was simply posting messages to gauge people's responses to meeting someone from their future. He was very willing to hold question and answer sessions, as well as give information on his time machine, share his perspective on our present world, and to make a number of predictions about our future, including how our present society will end in 2015 in a brief but devastating global nuclear war. Evidently, his trip was successful. He also posted a number of pictures of his time machine and scans from a technical manual showing its schematics. Possibly one of the most notable, if more poorer quality pictures he posted showed the time machine warping light from a laser pen due to gravity displacement. For these reasons, as well as any lack of gain or profit he could make from his assertions, people have been willing to accept Titor as a genuine time traveler. On March 24, 2001, Titor said he was going to return to his own timeline. Or his own time, rather. His own timeline was gone, obviously. And in spite of a number of obvious hoaxers, he has not been heard of since. It is claimed there is a video showing Titor returning to his own time, although it has not yet made its way onto the internet. Titor's time machine. Titor described his time machine as a C-204 time distortion gravity displacement machine, built by General Electric in 2034. It weighed approximately 500 pounds and was transported in a 1966 Chevrolet Corvette convertible, which also acted as Titor's vessel as he traveled through time. Sounds like a movie, I know. The vehicle did not move through space, but remained stationary, with the engine switched off. Some time later, the time machine was removed from the Corvette and placed in a 1987 four-wheel drive truck, and the Corvette was sold, which has led to speculation about where it may be now and who bought it. According to Titor, there were 6 main components to his time machine: 2 magnetic housing units for dual micro-singularities, an electron injection manifold to alter mass and gravity micro-singularities, a cooling and X-ray venting system, gravity sensors, or a variable gravity lock, 4 main cesium clocks, and 3 main computer units. In his descriptions, Titor explained that his time machine was a stationary mass. I did that before. Titor explained that his time machine was a stationary mass temporal displacement unit, powered by 2 topspin dual positive singularities. Essentially, the time machine was based on 2 rotating microsingularities operating similarly to a single ring singularity spinning at high speed. The mass and gravitational pull of this microsingularity was manipulated by injecting electrons onto its surface, replicating the effects of a Kerr-Newman black hole, thus, it would seem, enabling time travel. After Titor fed coordinates into his time machine, there would be a ramp-up period, while an audible alarm sounded, as well as a flashing light, followed by a countdown. Titor would then feel the pull of up to 2 Gs due to the gravity generated by the machine, and the vehicle would appear to speed up as light was bent around it. Except for supplies of compressed air, the only source of oxygen would be an air pocket trapped around the vehicle. Titor estimated the speed of travel at around 10 years per hour, and the time machine's accuracy of travel at up to 60 years, although he said this was expected to be improved upon by researchers at his own time. According to Titor, the nature of time travel and what can be expected is explained through the Everett-Wheeler model of quantum physics, or as it is sometimes called, the many-worlds theory, which Titor stated had been proved to be correct. Simplistically, this means that every event that can have more than one outcome will result in every possible outcome, and each possibility is the origin point of a new parallel universe or world line. The relevance of this for time travel, explained Titor, is that the traveler does not enter their own past, because their presence would cause changes, which in turn would create an ever-expanding set of world lines. Instead, the time traveler enters a closely related world line, where their presence would not cause this incalculable level of world lines. In other words, no paradoxes. It's a way to avoid the paradox. Most of what Titor has said of events between 2000 and 236 center on a Third World War, followed by 2 decades of ongoing recuperation. According to Titor, the period of conflict begins at the time of the American presidential election of 2004, when the seeds for a second American Civil War are germinated. Where have I heard that before? The nature of the conflict is described as civil unrest, brought on by intrusive police-state tactics, which leads to an increasing number of Waco or Ruby Ridge-type events, peaking at approximately 1 per week. Eventually, urban and rural areas are openly pitched against each other. Titor claimed that at the age of 13, he had joined a shotgun militia to fight on the side of the rural army. By 2008, it is popularly realized the pre-Civil War conditions that existed within America are lost for good. By 2015, the Civil War is effectively ended when Russia begins a series of nuclear strikes on most major American cities, therefore eliminating the federal government. Most major urban areas worldwide are also badly affected through a tit-for-tat series of nuclear strikes, with a death count of approximately 3 billion people. I think we just passed 8 billion, didn't we? Or is it 7? 7 or 8 billion we just passed. So almost half. The areas worst affected are Europe, Africa, and Australia. By 2036, the world has changed considerably. America is now made up of 5 states, with Nebraska as the capital, and consists of decentralized, tightly knit rural communities. There's a greater emphasis upon religion and personal interaction as opposed to mass media, as well as self-sufficiency, with people expected to work for part of the day in the fields to produce food. Water is still contaminated with radioactivity and needs to be filtered. In spite of the war and the efforts to construct this new society from the remains of the old, technology does not seem to be too badly affected. Titor mentioned a system of rapid rail travel between cities, space travel, genetic engineering, and of course, time travel. Besides the American civil conflict and the Third World War, Titor made a number of other significant predictions. America will wage war on Iraq, claiming Iraq has nuclear weapons. Titor made this statement years before a war with Iraq was considered. He also claimed no weapons of mass destruction would be found, which turned out to be true. War will erupt between Israel and its Arab neighbors, and weapons of mass destruction will be used. Korea, Taiwan, and Japan will be annexed by China as the West becomes unstable. In the early 2000s, CERN will lay the foundations for time travel. In autumn of the following year, after Titor, CERN released a statement indicating the creation of many black holes was possible. Mad cow disease will be a health issue in America, but it will be underplayed. Genetically modified food will be used to produce hybrid seeds that will have detrimental effects on the health of the population. Titor made a number of statements about constitutional and civil rights in America. He also said the American government will assume its citizens will prefer security over personal freedoms, and the future will judge the present harshly. Since the many worlds theory is, according to Titor, accurate, this has implications for Titor's claim to be a time traveler and how his predictions can be evaluated. If Titor is to be believed, we need to accept he is visiting from another closely related timeline, with its own subtle differences from our own. Consequently, we can expect some of his predictions for the future to be false for us or happening at different stages. But since, according to Titor, there is only a 2% discrepancy between the two timelines, there is still a good possibility these predictions will be fulfilled. Therefore, as the time approaches for each of his predictions, eventually the probability of Titor's claim that he is a time traveler will increase, either towards being true or towards being false, depending on whether the predictions are fulfilled. The story of John Titor has been circulating on the internet for almost 5 years, writes the author, with some people attempting to provide proof, while others put forward arguments and evidence to support Titor's claim to be a time traveler from the year 2036. For those who want to discover the truth for themselves, there are a number of websites with archives of Titor's message board postings. Perhaps one of the best of these archives is the above top-secret website. If you scratch around the internet, you will come across more and more bits of information about John Titor, and you will be able to decide for yourself whether there is any substance to his claims. In the final analysis, however, perhaps the most fascinating aspect of his story is the fact that this phenomenon, which could so easily have been ignored, has engaged so many people for so long. The story is repeated and discussed on many websites, and people expend a lot of time and energy in support of Titor's claims. It is also remarkable for a story of this nature to span so many media forms, ranging from a book to a ballet. We have some notes here towards the end. The Art Bell website, unfortunately, is no longer available. A Tipler sinusoid is basically a localized Kerr field, or put more simply, a mini black hole. Cutting to the rhetoric, Titor's time machine operates by manipulating a mini black hole. The mini-worlds theory has become integrated into what is known as M-theory, although this is no clear indication. The only way Titor could know the Millennium Bug would cause chaos would be if he had experienced it in his own timeline. Our word line would also have diverged more than 2% Titor said was acceptable. Respected scientists do study the subject, since Einstein's theory of relativity does allow for time travel.